Charles, what's up, bud?
Hey, Rich, good to be here.
You
Thank
too,
you.
pal. How's everything going?
Everything's great. Everything's great.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
Good.
Feel good. Been back on my bike, riding a lot, traveling everywhere by bike, and just getting back in shape again.
Nice. How long were you out for?
Well, as you know, I came back last year to get back in shape, and then I had a bit of an accident in December on my scooter, and took me out for a while. So I'm just getting back to running and biking and everything. So,
What are you up to?
in terms of
Running. You said
riding,
4
I'm
miles?
doing about 20. No, I started back in April, riding about 20 miles a day.
20 miles running?
No, riding,
Oh.
riding.
Okay, I thought it was like 20.
Not
I was like,
quite
damn.
running yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to be able to run a marathon on any given day, but
Really?
that was a while ago. Yeah.
You're in good shape for somebody that doesn't look that way.
Well, I hope to get back to that one day soon.
Only messing around. You
Yeah.
know that. That's pretty cool. What kind of bike riding did you do? Like what kind of...
Well, I used to, back in the early 2000s, I would train for Ironman with the goal of qualifying to get to Hawaii, and it just wasn't enough after a while. I couldn't go fast enough to qualify. I just figured I'm competing against people with way more time, way more money, or juiced. You know, they just, it was too accessible. So I decided if I can't go faster, I'm going to go longer. And then I started to train for a 508-mile bike race.
Yeah, you were saying that earlier before
Yeah.
we were talking. That's amazing. Like when you were saying, like when you're competing against them for the Ironman, is it just the way you are, competitive nature? And
It was, you know, I read somewhere or heard somewhere that, you know, it's very challenging to get to that level if you're working full time, raising a family. And I said, well, I want to give it a shot, you know. And I was also the kind of guy that likes to have his cake and eat it too. So
Sure.
while I was training for Ironman, I would wake up at 3 a.m, ride 100 miles, run 5 to 10 miles, and then be with my kids at a birthday party at 11 a.m. in the morning.
wow, Wow.
I wouldn't, like I said, I wanted my cake and eat it too.
that's awesome. And then how was the swim?
Swim, it was fine. You know, if you like competitive Ironman swimming, where you have 2,000 athletes swimming all in
What is it though? You
it's
could
a
do-
it's a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a full marathon, 26.2-mile run.
and you do it all at the same time, or can you do it at different?
No, it's all done at the same time.
But can one person do a run, one person
Oh,
do
they're relay triathlons. The Ironman that I did, I don't believe they had any relay divisions. I did it all.
Well, no, I'm saying is it 2,000 people doing all the bike at the same time? Then you
Oh,
go.
well, you all start to swim at the same time, and then
Okay.
through the course of the swim, the athletes get stretched out, and so you have a steady stream of athletes hitting the bike, you know, depending on how fast they swim. So the elite athletes are finishing the 2.4-mile swim in under an hour,
Oh, wow.
45 minutes to an hour. My best year, I finished it in 1 hour, 1 minute, and my full time for the Ironman was 11 hours, 11 minutes,
Wow,
which is not quite Kona qualifier, but respectable in itself.
that is respectable. It'll take me probably 8 weeks to finish that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was, you know, the being in that sort of shape gives you a boost of confidence, and I just knew I could do anything.
So what is that like training for? How do you train for that?
It's all mindset.
Okay.
Just like the real estate business, it's all mindset. You just decide you're going to do something, and then what's
you
the
do
one
it.
thing you need to do to make that end result easier, or you know, to get to that point. And you know, no one was going to tell me I couldn't do it.
That's awesome.
So I just did it.
And where does that come from? Like when you're growing up, was it something that was just instilled
That's a
in
great
you?
question. I was always fascinated to see how long or how far something could go. You know, maybe it's something I watched something when I was a child. You know,
Was dad and mom the same way, or?
No, they were different people. That's a whole other story. You know, I don't. I don't know. It's, you know, I'm a combination of both my parents, I suppose. So I
Okay.
don't know really where I get that. I just remember being fascinated as a kid, like taking a train, like Lionel trains, whatever, putting them in the tracks and letting them go and just not stopping them. How long will it go before
They
it
stop.
dies? Right. Yes. I didn't care if I burnt out the train. I just wanted to see how far I could go. And then when it came to endurance athletics, you know, I remember seeing, you know, Ironman one time, and a female competitor at Hawaii collapsing like within yards of the finish line. She was in first place, collapses, and just starts crawling, you know, desperately trying to get across. And I remember getting chills, and then seeing the second place runner competitor pass her, and just still she moved forward. I'm finishing this, and she eventually got across. And even now talking about it, I get chills, you know,
Wow.
thinking about that. Just
So-
like, can I get myself to that level?
Let me ask you another question, deeper question. And you could be on. I want you to be honest with me on this. you're in the same position. You're not the lead runner. You're the second place runner. Do you help her or you don't?
Well, in a competitive situation like that, no, unless I saw it was a life, threatening emergency. If it was that case, yeah, I would stop. But she was, if I have everybody on the sidelines, I'm not stopping. I'm crossing the finish line. Maybe I go back and,
Help her later
first
on.
of all, I can't help her because I disqualify her.
Oh, okay. So you
So
can't.
unless she asks for help, I'm not going to stop. Right. So,
Okay.
but
That's
if I'm out in the desert doing a 508-mile bike race and I see a solo competitor, randonneur, in trouble, I want to stop. I'm going to offer him help. Absolutely. I'm not going to do anything that's going to disqualify him, like
Well,
boost him
of
forward.
course not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It depends
again,
on the
the
situation.
situation,
Right.
yeah. But in that specific situation, like what was going through your mind? Like what would go through your mind? Like I would finish the race too.
I'd feel bad for passing the runner, but I'd be very happy
wouldn't.
for myself.
I wouldn't. I would be thinking,
I'd say that just sucks.
you
'Cause
didn't
I know
condition
that-
yourself well enough.
Yeah,
Hate
well-
to say that. That's what it was, Maybe you called the course, but maybe you
Yeah.
cramped up, but that you put yourself into that position. in a-
Yeah,
in a
I
way.
mean, I feel bad only because to get to that level, it's like, oh, just like to be so short, of
I get it.
winning the race,
But you remember, the funny thing is, you remember the girl. You don't remember the first guy that really finished.
Oh, that's absolutely right, and
So
that
you
stayed
remember
with
that.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember her.
So maybe she did it on purpose. She wanted that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you train and compete at that level.
Where
not
did she
to
finish?
She finished like third place.
Oh, so two
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
Two
Well,
people
I
passed
mean,
her.
yeah, she still finished in the top. I mean, we're talking, like 9 hours to finish an Ironman. For the women, 8 hours, some change for the men.
That's crazy.
But most of the people are coming in 12, 13, 14 hours.
Wow.
The bulk of them.
So it's not like she laid down and took a nap. She actually crawled and finished. That's good though. That's amazing. That's will. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and
Yeah.
that's what I have. That's what I think I have in myself: the will to get something done when I accomplish my mind, put my mind to it.
All I remember is like when I played. I remember doing explosions and suicides, or you would call them. I call them explosions, and I remember getting to the point where you're almost ready to puke.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what that is, right? I found this later on. That's a sign that you're going to die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it means. It's your body preventing you from going further
Mhm.
because if you keep going, you're gonna have a heart
It's
attack.
going to shut yourself down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna shut you down. So it was interesting how people push people to that limit and then still push you further without knowing it. Because I've been in that situation.
Yeah. No, I've always wanted to see if I could get myself in that situation, and like I said earlier, Ironman became not enough, and so I started training for a 508-mile bike race, and
It's insane.
I did it in 2010, 11, and 12. I did not finish in 2011. I got 308 miles through the race. I remember coming down a particular mountain pass, going down, then coasting up as far as I go and stopping, and I just said to my crew,
Done.
I'm done. There's
Wow.
no reason to push myself any further. I'm as done could be. And I knew it. I pushed myself as far as I could go. There's no reason to take one more step and risk illness or injury, right?
right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
smart. That's
Yeah.
smart.
I
All right,
mean-
so let's because we could sit here for hours and talk
yeah,
about that. That's fascinating stuff to me. It really is. Tell me about yourself, though. Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Brooklyn,
Okay.
right outside of Coney Island.
Nice. What was that like?
It was interesting. It was different times.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Lafayette High School.
Okay.
I graduated Lafayette High School in '82.
Nice.
I actually was a year ahead. I'll be in Brooklyn in just a few hours in 60 years.
60 years.
I turned 60 tomorrow.
That's right. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So grow up in Lafayette. Where'd you go to college? Did you go to
I went
college?
to Brooklyn College.
Brooklyn. So you did your whole life
My
in
whole
Brooklyn.
life, right.
Never
where,
left.
That's where I met my wife.
That's amazing.
And we've been together for 40 years now.
40 years. Wow. I'm 30. So you're 40. Wow. 30 is a long time.
30 is a long time.
40 is
Well,
long.
we're married for 30, together for 40.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably the same thing with me and my wife.
Yeah.
We got married in 94?
94.
95? Yeah,
Yeah.
mine in 95.
And then we bought our first piece of real estate in 96.
Almost similar to me.
Yeah.
Almost
And
very
then
similar.
had kids in 97 and bought a house and closed in 2001.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we were 97, bought our first house. Then 99, I got my second.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
I flipped until we moved to Westchester, where we are, and we've been there for the last 20 years. And you're in the Slope, right?
Yeah, my house is in, well, some people would call it Windsor Terrace. It's the juxtaposition of Park Slope and Windsor Terrace.
Okay, so what did you do, like, getting started? What'd you go to school for? What'd you go to Brooklyn
Computer
Tech?
science.
Computer
I was
science.
an IT
So
guy.
you always an IT
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And when you got out of college, what'd you do?
I was the first IT guy hired for a very major law firm in the U.S.
Okay.
And
What was that like?
that was interesting. I was 21 years old, right out of college, working with partners at a law firm, and uh, you know, I'm just remembering back because I looked young. I was young,
Of
but I
course.
looked really young,
Yeah.
and I had to figure out a way to earn the respect of the partners in the firm.
Okay.
When I suggested we need to spend this type of money on these type of equipment, they look at me like a kid. So I always dressed in a suit and tie. Was always, presented
Professional.
professional, right? And I earned their respect and put in like major, what they called back then, frame relay networks. One of the first frame relay networks at a law firm across the country, and then internationally.
Awesome. Then what'd you do after that? And how long were you there
Um,
for?
I was there for like 7 years, then got out of law firms. I went to Prudential Securities, where it was like just a brief journey into. I'm going to go a little quickly
Yeah,
for
please.
my career. I want to get into how I got into
Real
real
estate,
estate,
yeah.
right?
That's
So
what I'm looking to do, yeah.
basically, I bounced between real estate. I'm sorry, law firms, security firms, and then a law firm again. And then in '99. I said, the real estate industry, the internet's coming of age at this point, and I just saw real estate industry really was backwards when it came to implementing technology. So I
Okay.
looked for a job in the real estate sector, and I got a job as the chief technology officer at Corcoran. Right,
At Corcoran.
Barbara Corcoran hired me personally.
We talked about that back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. So she was fabulous. And she hired me. I learned what the real estate business was all about from a brokerage. I wasn't particularly targeting real estate brokerages. I was just talking the real estate industry. So I learned what the needs are of real estate agents, the managers, the back office, all of that, and built effective systems in IT. Won all these IT awards, website awards, all this other stuff back in the early 2000s.
And then how long were you with Barbara for in Corcoran?
Well, she sold the company in 2001, so she was transitioning out. It became corporate owned by, who cares?
She sold in 2001. Was that
She
long
told,
ago?
yeah. I like to say there was almost, well, she sold right after September 11th. She closed right after
Oh, wow.
September 24th.
I didn't know that. I thought it was later on. I
No,
thought it was
no,
like 5 or 4.
no. She owned it.
Alright.
She hired me, and then, and to me, unfortunately, she sold it. Otherwise, I'd probably still work for her.
Was that awesome? Yeah,
yeah.
she's an awesome person.
Yeah.
I like her a lot. She probably don't remember me, but she met so many people. But
Yeah.
I liked her a lot. She was good people. So and then where'd you go after Corcoran?
So I was at Corcoran, put in their systems. I went to Douglas Elliman after that. And then,
I'm going to Dottie now.
yeah, that was interesting. Let's just leave it at that.
Another special person.
Yeah, very special.
Yeah.
And then got out of real estate briefly, and then said, out of real estate, but then I really want to get out of IT. So I got the job as a operations officer at a large privately held company in Brooklyn in the real estate business, real estate brokerage.
Wait, let's stay at Element. What'd you do for Element, real quick?
I was their CTO. Same
CTO,
thing I did
Did you
at
create
Corcoran.
any apps or?
Well, I built, at both the companies, I built their listing service, the listing system, their intranet. Some of the stuff I developed at Corcoran is still in use today, or some version of it
Sure.
at this point.
And then when you were there, was John Evans there? Or did he come after you?
Probably after me. Name doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, because I think he was there tech later on.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, he did all the apps for them. Back in the day, like the Ellie, I think he did. At least that's what I think he did.
Yeah, that's probably after me. I was out of Element in 2009.
Okay, yeah, because I think he was with Corcoran and then he went to Element. It's like a common thing that you see, especially in the technology.
A lot of those people go back and forth.
Yeah.
A lot of the people I hired at Corcoran, some are still there, and some went to Element.
So what do you see? Like, what's the difference between the technology today and the technology of yesterday?
Well, define yesterday. I go back to the 80s.
Going back to the 90s, 2000s, when I first started getting into real estate.
Well, if you're in 2000, the internet is now here, right? So websites became a thing. If you were a real estate company, you didn't have a real estate website, you weren't on the map, right? So I started developing Corcoran.com back then and put all these bells and whistles, if you want to call them, all this, some of the stuff I copied from other websites, not the code, but the idea,
Sure.
and some of the ideas we came up on our own. and it was great. The Corcoran had the best website around back then.
Okay.
And then came later on, after I left Corcoran, the Zillows and the Truliers and all those guys.
When did Zillow come into play?
Zillow came in, I'd say
9,
around
10?
2000. No, before that.
Oh, was it?
I can remember being around like around 2007.
Okay.
Zillow and Trulia started coming around there between 2005 and 2009.
And Zillow bought Trulia, right?
Zillow bought Trulia.
That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. So now you get it. Where'd you go after Element? You were saying?
Well, I went back to work for a law firm briefly, which was a mistake. Then I wanted to get back into real estate. But at this time also, the IT industry, what I was doing was changed dramatically. Now the internet's in full bloom. There was the dot-com bust. And,
Yep.
I wasn't going to be able to make the kind of money that
You once did.
once did, and they wanted somebody who was very hands-on. And I'm sorry, but at this time in my life, I wasn't going back to working in a server room at 3 in the morning to do a system upgrade. I just
Couldn't do it.
I was over it.
Yep.
So I got into operations at a real estate company,
Who was that?
Fillmore Real Estate,
Fillmore.
which is now Berkshire
Yep.
Hathaway Home Services. And they were approached by Keller Williams to become a Keller Williams franchise. And that's the beginning of my Keller Williams story.
Yeah.
Um,
Love to.
So as the operations officer, I was tasked with researching the model. So I called new franchises that came from scratch, companies that converted, and everything I heard was just too good to be true, right?
For Keller.
Yeah, what I heard about Keller, it's just too good to be true. I couldn't believe how good it was. And I said to the ownership then, I said, you really should consider this. They didn't want to do it, too much family legacy. So I said, I'm going to consider it. I'm going to go look into it.
That's interesting.
So I went to the family reunion in January 2012.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing you there.
Yeah.
Remember Karen introducing us
Karen.
in Glima
In Glima, yeah.
and Helen Priovison.
Yeah, I started running into a bunch of Douglas Elliman people.
That's right.
And I was blown away at KW by family reunion. And I just said, I got to be part of this. And if they don't want to do it, I went to Brian Fair and Sean Rolls at the time. I said, look, they don't want to do it. But if I could put together a group, will you let me do it?
Sure.
You support me? And they go, yes. And so it's basically what I did.
And your first group was?
None of the, Luca Dennis was part of that group.
He was part of the first group?
Yeah. There were a couple of other agents who are no longer
Sure.
part of it. We didn't launch like gangbusters. We had a rough time of it. There was a challenge between we're MLS country and Rebney country,
Mhm.
two totally different worlds, right? And so some of the integration of the technology was challenging at first. And, it was challenging to get it off the ground, finding the location with a reasonable rent. And, but we did it, we grew to over 100 agents within a few years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you were working out in Bay Ridge.
Yeah.
You
Bay Ridge.
originally wanted to do Slope,
Yeah. Originally we wanted to do Puck Slope.
and then you ended up in Bay Ridge.
Yeah.
Why'd you make that choice?
It was suggested by the region. We had an icon that was supposed to join us, a Rebney agent, and at the last minute, him and a manager that I had pulled out ugly, and we had one icon left at that point, and she was Bay Ridge based. So
I remember that.
that's why we went to Bay Ridge at
And
that
that's the-
time, and it was also easier to find space, less expensive.
Sure.
It was just more in a financial model at this point.
Okay, so you launch and you get going. What's the difference now between where you were in Element, I'm sure, right, and Corcoran compared to Keller?
Oh, I'd start off with culture.
Okay.
The spirit of cooperation among the agents, the training was just better than anything I'd ever seen. If I didn't know how to, well, basically, I never sold anything. 2012, I never rented anything, never sold anything. I just took Ignite. And just the training alone at Keller Williams was fantastic. I listened, I learned the questions to ask, and like that.
Picked it up.
My first year in the business, I made 200,000 GCI, right off the bat, never having sold anything. And I'm looking at all these other new agents that don't do one deal over the year. I'm like, how could that possibly be?
What do you think that is? Well, again, your nature is also to go run a 508 mile,
Grit and determination. I mean, I think my technology background gave me a little bit of a leg up because I was very easily able to adopt technology. I was very able easily to analyze listings and come up with comps and, just technology oriented. The technology that I needed to use to implement the business didn't scare me, and I knew how to use it already.
Hmm.
It just was, I just fell into it naturally. It was all formulaic. All right, follow the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Handbook and make these many contacts over this many days. You're going to have that much, you know, appointments and listings and sales and closings.
Then you just followed the
I
model.
just
when you
followed the
did that.
model.
That's
No,
interesting.
I wouldn't say I 100% followed the model. At first I winged it a little bit, and I started transition to proper, which we don't call scripts anymore, but conversations, and it was a little bit of a transition. But once I started, studying like language, NLP, and language patterns, and understanding how to get in rapport with somebody, and just learning how to communicate better, my business blossomed.
So let's get into a little bit of the Keller Williams, if you don't mind. Like when you got in, you would now. Oh, were you going to be the OP from the get, or was that?
I was the OP originally, the original OP, and then, honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing at that time. It's just we rushed to get the franchise launched because of New York State franchise laws. They went dark after a certain time, and so
That's where we're different. I don't give a shit about that, honestly.
yeah, well, what we rushed, and so because we rushed, what happens when you rush? You make mistakes, and
That's right.
we didn't launch well. If we had waited another 6 months,
You would have been better off.
we were better off. And the irony of it all is that blackout period only lasted like 30 days
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
why I
the 6
say-
months. So.
That's why I never rush into it, because it goes quick.
So anyway, it turned out to be a blessing for me, not to have to be the OP. I didn't like it. I eventually became the OP again, as you know,
But let's say, why wouldn't you like the why didn't you like the OP position?
because it was too much like being in management. I managed people for 20-something years as an IT professional, and
Just didn't want to do it no more.
I found that helping people buy, sell real estate, they're happy, they're grateful for your service, instead of having someone call me pissed off in the middle of the night because a stupid BlackBerry doesn't work, or I have a sick MCA or some whatever it was. I didn't want to have to deal with all of that stuff anymore. I wanted to work with people who I could honestly help, and then they're grateful for my services, and I just found it a lot more rewarding. And I was good at it. I just naturally fell into it because to me, the sales process, especially in Brooklyn, you have all different types of buildings. You have problems and challenges, violations, building permits, stop work orders, co-op boards, co-op board packages, anything that could derail a transaction. There's all challenges and problems to overcome, and I'm really good at that.
That's why I'm different. I'm just like, get it sold and move on. I don't care about it.
But how do you sell a problem?
Yeah, I get it,
right?
yeah.
You got to
Gotta
fix
fix
those
the
problems,
that's
right?
right,
And
yeah.
I became very good at that.
Yep,
And
I
I
get
became
it.
very good at talking people off the ledge when they, oh my God, I have all these things wrong. Oh, no.
Calm down. Yeah, relax.
But not necessarily talking
I
to
get
a
what you're
voice, but get in rapport with them,
Sure.
just like, yeah, no, this really stinks.
Yeah.
But we got it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll take care of it,
They're
yeah.
getting angry. You get angry with them,
Yeah. Sucks. Yeah.
to get in rapport with them. And so I'm able to communicate with the clients. And
So you step away from the OP position, you go to sales. Now you're just a partner, Lou's running it.
Yep.
Everything's going smooth. You open up. You're in Bay Ridge. First team leader was
Elizabeth Ameno.
Elizabeth was.
Right.
Okay, and it's Liz, right?
Yes.
And it goes well. She brings it up to.
She brought it up to probably about 50, 60 agents, and then Lou decided to make a switch.
Okay.
And he hired Mary Beth Tortoriello.
Okay. Mary Beth came in, did.
And she really grew the place well.
Yeah, she's a rock star.
and
Both of
then,
them are.
Then we opened up a Staten Island office at that point.
That's right. And what happened there?
Well, as the Staten Island started to go, the things began to change. Let's just say there were management changes at that time. Lou decided he didn't want to be in Staten Island, didn't want to be in Brooklyn, and so, which was fine by me because things were happening that I thought the Brooklyn office should go in a different direction. So it all worked out
Okay.
in the end. So that brought out the partners, took over the OP role again, and ran it and got us through the pandemic.
When did you and I start sitting down? We sat down
Towards
for
the
a
end,
while,
yeah,
right?
we were talking over the through the pandemic, and at the end of the pandemic, I honestly I know we turned the company around. We got rid of any
Yeah, well, whatever.
expenses on the books and things like that. Reduced the rent, got into a much better space.
When did you hire Mike?
Michael Guerra,
Gara.
like 2000, 2001. It was after this. It was in the start of the pandemic. Like he started. The pandemic was 2019 into 2020, so probably like March of 2020.
Okay. So you hire Mike. He comes in, and now was he going to be the OP, or was he going to?
Well, he would probably wouldn't have been a fit for the OP than me, 'cause but the region wanted me to be the OP, so I
Okay.
took on the role.
And then Mike's the team
Team
leader.
leader.
Okay. And we sat down because we were talking about Industry City at one point, right?
We were, right? That's an odd neighborhood. I mean, other than Industry City, it's like apart from the rest of Brooklyn. It's on the
Sure.
other side of the BQE. Not that many homes over there. It's just apart. You go to Industry City, you go to the workforce, whatever jobs you have. But it's kind of separate. I don't know. I don't know whether it would make a good location or not for an office. I never had the gut feeling that this was the right location. It's not enough.
Juice or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's not enough homeowners walking around, people interested in real estate there. They're more, tech, or I don't know. I'm not even sure the complex, the makeup of the tenants over there. But it wasn't the type of pedestrian traffic or even people that I thought
Yeah, I
would
agree
have been
with you.
conducive to bringing in
100%.
business. Right, it wasn't the right place.
I definitely agree with you on that. And then we ended up partnering up in 23.
Towards the end of the pandemic, probably like 22, 23.
Okay. Is that when I bought in with you?
Yeah,
And,
like 22, it's 22, 23. I can't remember the exact time frame.
and then you go back into sales.
I never left sales.
And it was broke. Yeah,
Yeah.
but really just dug in.
Yeah,
where you
then
let the
dug
OPs.
in, right, and I was relieved because, no offense to anybody in the region, but those Monday 4 o'clock calls were just draining my soul after a while.
I can imagine they still do.
I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, why am I doing this? It's like, it was like working for somebody again,
I get it.
and I won't ever work for somebody else again.
Smart, yeah. Okay. So you become the broker, and
Well, I was always had to be a broker as an owner.
That's right.
As
So-
an owner and investor. So
But now you're really taking on the problems. And
yeah,
you're
so
doing that for us.
I
and-
like. I like helping our agents, right? If they approach me with a problem on a deal, I'm all over that, because how much French can I use with my language?
Yeah, you're okay.
If you F with my agent, someone, you're fucking with me, you're fucking with my family.
Yep.
Don't do that, right? Just I have your back.
I do see that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say is my door is always open.
Yep.
Notwithstanding the fact that it slides closed because it. But anyway, my door is seriously always open. I encourage anybody to call me with their challenges, their issues, their problems. I'm there to help. I enjoy that. I enjoy coaching and mentoring the agents. Some people say I don't seem approachable, but the actual opposite is true. I mean,
I never heard that.
I'm just focused. I'm just focused. Just my door's always open. Always approach me. I have no problem with this whatsoever. And if somebody you have trouble with the deal, I'll give you my advice, or I'll tell you who to go to. Right?
Yeah, I've always heard, like I said, any agents always said good things about you. They liked working with you. I think you're easy to work with. I love working with you. I think I think you're always looking to help out and always looking to do that.
Always looking to contribute. I think I'm a lot like you in a way. I mean, I remember one time you saying you're a company man, and like I'm KW. I really believe in the model and what they've done. I've often said KW changed my life for the better,
Me
just
too.
by exposing me to different ideas and philosophies, and just help me professionally, personally, help me in my marriage. I mean, not Kate. It wasn't like Gary Keller gave me a call and said
Of
something,
course,
but
yeah,
the
everything.
things they exposed me to, the world that it opened to, and the opportunities it gave me allowed me to communicate better. And I started applying that in my personal life as well.
Yeah, I don't think people don't realize what KW really means. You have to really be in it to understand it. Yeah, 100% right on that. And
And I was, I feel very fortunate and blessed that I had the opportunity to open up the first KW in Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn is the best place to be.
I can't wait to take it downtown and see what we could do down there too. I'm excited about that.
I know there's a bunch of spaces we could look at.
I know. Well, I told you, Sandy was out for a couple of weeks. He's back now, so you'll be getting a call with him, and I'm excited about that because I'm talking to a lot of people down there still. But let's stay with this. So 23, I come in. What kind of business were you doing as an OP?
Talking about
Sales.
in my personal business,
Yeah.
or
Personal business, you and
um,
Jeannie.
roughly between, depending on the year, between uh, volume or GCI. I always
Either
tend to
one.
remember the GCI a little bit better, like around, depending on the year, 300 to 600 GCI.
And that's you and Jeannie. How'd you meet with Jeannie?
Jeannie has been an agent at the office for a long time, um, and we just naturally started to collaborate with each other. I could always count on Jeannie to help out. That's one thing I love about her.
Mhm.
She's will always roll up her sleeves and is willing to help.
That she
And
does, yeah.
I think I found that we discovered that we complement each other in very many ways. There's certain skills and tasks and conversations that she's better at, and certain conversations and skills and things that I'm better at. I'm better on the tech. She's better on the working with the investors and hardcore negotiations. Right. I'd like to you know I'm better with the client that needs a little bit of hand holding, and she's better with the investor who needs to be put in his place.
Yeah, I could see that. yeah.
Right. So I'm like, let's get to the finish line and figuring out the
I
problems.
cringe when I walk by her when she's on the phone, though. It's hysterical. She makes me go, damn, I can't believe she said that. I'm
yeah,
rude.
yeah.
I'm not rude. I'm tough on the phone.
Yeah,
but
I mean, she's tough on the phone at times.
Yeah, she
She's
is.
tough with me at times, which is fine. It's
That's
I know
awesome.
I know she only means it for the best, and we understand each other and tolerate each other. So
That's
we make
awesome.
a really good team. I put us up against anybody in the city.
So would I. Yeah.
and,
What industry did she come from?
She was a commodities trader on Wall Street. She was on the floor, buy, sell, like that. So something I vision a scene from like Trading Places on the floor.
That's what I was just thinking
I
of.
think that's what she did.
Punching somebody in the head to get
Yeah, I just
to get us there.
I couldn't have done that.
Oranges. That's
Yeah,
the best. So, what are your goals like for 2025? You and Jeannie. Are you going to break $1 million this year?
That's the goal. I mean, I really want to do what a Kellerism, if you will. Gross $1 million, net $1 million, give $1 million.
Are you up to the point? Do you ever gross $1 million?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. And I put that all squarely on my shoulders.
What do you think it is?
What I think it is, I'm a little older than I used to be.
Sure.
I turn 60 tomorrow, and
Again, happy birthday.
yeah, I go hard, right? When I opened up the office, the Keller Williams Brooklyn office in 2012, I just finished riding 508 miles on my bike. Just literally just finished. And I went from doing that to getting a business off the ground, going on that hard. It got us through lots of ups and downs, a lot of distractions. But I could have been more focused to do it. And I believe I'm going to get there.
I know you're going to get there. I could see it.
Because that focus is coming back, that drive is coming back. I coasted for a while.
Why do you think you coasted? Why would you say that?
Because I was my business got to the point where I no longer had to hunt every day for business. Business just organically came to me as client referrals, allied resources. I built up a book of business. But as Guy would say, you got to feed your database. So I never stopped feeding my database, but I wasn't feeding it as high a level as I could, right? And I'm back to doing that. I'm back to riding my bike again. I competed in a 508-mile bike race last year after 12 years off.
That's awesome. So you're back to Charles.
I'm
back to it.
getting back, right? You don't go from 0 to 100 like that, but I'm getting up to speed.
Wow.
Right. And that being said, we're doing pretty good this year. Just launched.
That was my next question. How do you see the market right now?
If you could find the inventory, you're going to sell it really quick, right? As long as you're not overpricing it, and as long as you don't hide it, right? Like some of our competitors might be doing.
How is like I've been in Staten Island and I can't stand it. I sold property there and it's amazing to me what goes on over there. And I'm not being negative. I'm just telling the way it is. I think I told you the story a bunch of times where we got a listing and the lady wouldn't let me refer it out. I was going to refer it to Liz, just living in Staten Island. I was going to give it to her. She said no, she wanted me. She had cerebral palsy, and I said, "Okay, I'll take it, but it's got to be a certain percentage." I think I took 7% or whatever it was. And she said, "All right, the only thing is you got to come to every showing."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Shit, I live in Westchester. This is going to be, this is going to be
I
brutal."
I wouldn't have taken the listing.
Well, she wouldn't let me go away. And it
Okay.
was interesting. It was because I introduced her to somebody, and it was my own fault that she fell in love with me that way, because I got her into a conversation with Bernie Williams, and
Okay.
that's a totally different story, but it was just funny, and she was a big fan and all of that, and she didn't trust anybody else. It was just me. It would have been sold quicker, I thought, but I put out on MLS or whatever it is, Staten Island
Yeah.
out there. I put out 3.5% to the brokers,
Well, that's unheard of.
and boy, did I hear it! I got threatened. I got all kinds of stuff.
Oh
From
yeah, when I used to have a larger book of business in Staten Island, I would always split 50-50.
That's
I
how I
came
am.
from
Yeah.
the revenue world, right? Split it 50-50, and brokers would be upset at us. Like, what are you doing? They're used to taking 6 and offering out 1 back in the day when it wasn't decoupled.
Is it
like
still
is.
like that?
Well, it's the laws have changed, right?
Correct, but up until that law changed,
Oh,
how
we're still like that. I mean, I'm sure there are some more modern thinking agents that knows their fiduciary responsibility is to their client, the
Sure.
seller, if you have a listing, and that where's your fiduciary responsibility lie? If you take a 6% listing, you offer out 1. It sounds like it's to yourself, not to your client,
without a doubt.
right? I take that very seriously, and unfortunately, that's Staten Island's the Wild West like that. Even parts of Brooklyn is like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, you have, for Brooklyn, you have what I would like to call the Manhattan part of Brooklyn, like downtown Brooklyn. Like if you came up the Newtown Creek, drew a line through Bed-Stuy around Prospect Park, through South Slope, maybe even part of Greenwood Heights, Manhattan part of Brooklyn. Everybody, for the most part, it's revenue country, co-broking out 50-50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go outside that, you start going out to South Brooklyn, Bensonhurst, Bath Beach, Gravesend, Mill Basin, Gerritsen Beach,
Different.
office exclusives, not even co-broking, much less co-broking fairly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
Brooklyn's
a lot
like
of
that anymore.
6% listings taken and 1.5, maybe sometimes 2 offered out.
That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense
It
to
makes sense if you're looking out for
me. For
you as
yourself.
right,
Yeah,
right,
but I'm not doing
right.
that.
But
Yeah.
but you're violating your fiduciary
right.
responsibility.
So I would never do that.
I was appalled by that.
Yeah, me
As a matter
too.
of fact, when I first started the business, I would go after expired listings, and I would say, what did
Same thing.
yeah, it's like, how is that in your best interest?
Right.
How is it in your best interest to give an office exclusive where it doesn't get marketed in the MLS and they just sell it themselves? How's that work better for you?
Well, I used to, you're the same way with me with the expireds. When I was in Queens and I was doing it, it was the same conversation. How are you going to get this sold? Well, one, I'm going to put a 50-50 split out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put out 1.5. And then I would get to some people saying, well, I was only given 2. Well, okay. Then,
Well, I
we're-
was also I wouldn't take a discounted
Yeah,
listing. I
right.
wouldn't take a listing for 2. I've walked away. I've walked away for only 3%. I just said, I'm sorry, I
I
can't do
agree.
my job.
yeah, I agree with
I
you.
can't. I'm not going to give you the service level at that low price.
You can't.
It just doesn't make sense.
It's impossible to give that, right? So let me ask you another question before we wrap this up. How do you see the technology today in Keller Williams?
It has potential. Command honestly does need a little bit of work.
Sure.
I would love to be on the advisory board to tell them what to do because, but it'll get there. It'll get there, and as long as they keep focusing and listening to the agents, which the vetting process for things that they should implement was done differently. But I understand what 200,000 agents. They're doing the best they can with the resources they have right now.
Of course. And then, but how frustrating is it in the technology world where once you get it down, something else new and better has come out?
Oh,
Like with
that depends
like,
on your mindset, really. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I'm
so especially somebody for you, like
well. Even though I'm a technology guy, I still get frustrated when I have to learn something new.
Mhm. That's what I was gonna say,
It's for a lot of people, it's frustrating. Just go with the flow. Do I use command at the highest level possible? No, I use it for what I need it for, and it works for my needs more than adequately. I was paying for a CRM before command came in, and command really started coming right at the start of the pandemic, and I was paying like $800-900 a month for
Wow.
a CRM. And I said, I don't need this anymore, right? I wish that command had a dialer in it,
Mm.
or maybe a connection to Vulcan 7 or something like that. But it'll get there, and probably does a lot of things I'm wishing it would do because I haven't really investigated it. I mean, I spend most of my time networking and making Mets,
Sure.
if you will, right? I'm not fully vested in learning the technology because it's doing what I need it to do right now.
And that's what you.
Right.
Right. So 2025, we started with your goals. Like you're looking to get to net $1 million, or gross $1 million, net $1 million, give away $1 million. Where are you now, and where are you going to be personally at the end? Do you think you're going to hit that $1 million or 25? Depending on the way the market's going today.
Let's just say there's still time for me to do it. It's not out of the question.
Awesome.
The challenge with predicting that is, last year I would have had a much better year if deals didn't get delayed. This is an attorney state, and sometimes there are things that we need to get cleared also with Department of Buildings, and it doesn't happen in the timeline that you would like. So a lot of my deals last year rolled into this year, so that's going to be a boost for this year. So it depends if everything I have scheduled to close closes this year.
You got it.
Right.
That's
I'll do
awesome.
it. If it gets delayed, possibly not.
Did I leave anything out today that we want
Um,
to talk about?
We didn't talk about Brooklyn much.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
We did. We talked about a lot.
okay.
You're Brooklyn.
I am
So
Brooklyn.
we talked about you.
Yeah,
You
I'm
made that
Brooklyn.
clear in the beginning. You
I-
are Brooklyn.
Yeah, my bedroom window when I was a kid looked at the parachute jump in the Wonder Wheel.
See? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
You
I
lived
remember-
in Brooklyn, 60 years tomorrow?
60 years tomorrow.
Never
that's right.
left.
Yeah,
Did you ever go on
70
vacation?
My last few vacations have been to compete in some sort of an event.
Okay.
Yeah. So
When are you going to get away?
my wife and I are thinking of going to Guatemala in the fall.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's an
yeah.
interesting place to go to.
Yeah, my wife and kids, we've always traveled, always explored.
Okay.
So
To end it, what does your kids do now?
my daughter
What is your daughter doing?
my daughter's Sophia. She's a chemical engineer.
It's amazing.
She'll turn 28 in end of June, and my son's working at a bartender in a bar in Greenpoint.
Chemical engineer also,
Yeah.
in some way.
Cocktail engineer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, challenge for him was he started college right at the start of the pandemic. So,
It happens.
those guys are, everybody's a sharp kid. I don't think he realizes it. He had his bank account as a college saver account, which I still have control on. Not
Yeah.
control, but I see it. He's doing good.
Good for
He's
him.
doing good. He's
That's-
doing good.
for him.
He's connected with the he's doing well. So is my daughter.
That's
I'm
awesome.
proud of both my children.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You should be.
yeah. My daughter lives in Jersey right now. Wants to come back to Brooklyn. And I don't blame her. Funny thing is, when I was young,
How'd you let her leave out of Brooklyn?
what's that?
How'd you let her leave?
Well, her and her boyfriend both work in New Jersey. That's where they're both
Right,
chemical
yeah.
engineers. That's where the jobs are.
Oh my
And so the
God.
commute.
That must be amazing conversation at home.
I could hold my own when I talk to my daughter.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember enough of my high school and college chemistry to know what she's talking about. I might not be able to understand all
Looking
of
at
it.
Julia, and I'm just waiting for my response, like, like if I could hold my own.
Yeah,
So,
I remember enough science from back then that I could have a good
you
conversation.
can still have a
with her.
conversation.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would-
And she's also taken after me. She did the Camino de Santiago from Paris to Santiago de Compostela last year,
Okay,
while riding her bike.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was supposed to do a half Ironman with her in June this year, but those plans changed because
Well, we'll get there.
yeah, but things are looking good. It's like my children are now at the age where you start doing things with them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
they're established and life is good. Life is good. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, Charles. Love you,
Yeah.
brother.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
everything.
Mitch. It's a
All right,
pleasure.
buddy. You too.